Welcome to Muscles and Malarkey, a podcast about all things strength, fitness, and fun. I'm your host, Mary. Today, I want to get into the bare bone basics of nutrition. Nutrition is a tough subject for a lot of people, and I want to start off by saying that I am not a registered dietitian or a nutritionist, and if you struggle with food or your relationship with food, then I highly recommend seeking out one of those services from a reputable person, not a fitness influencer or a quote unquote fit person you see on the gram. All right. It makes sense why people who start fitness routines also start to examine the foods they're consuming. Nutrition and exercise tend to go hand in hand, but as with anything in life, it is important to be comfortable in the gray. That is something that took me a long while to realize and something I still work on. I am a certified personal trainer. Therefore, it is out of my scope of practice to give anyone a meal plan, macros, or calories. Please keep that in mind if you do start working with a trainer, because honestly, anyone can go online, type in your height, weight, age, and have some calculators spit out numbers for you to blindly follow. I'm not a weight loss girly. I am a fuel your body to perform well in the gym and fuel in a way that supports your overall goals of building muscle and being healthy girly. It just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. In my opinion, I believe it is more important to understand the basics of nutrition so that you can make informed decisions about how you manage your nutrition. What I am going over in today's episode is a purely factual recounting of what we all learned back in third grade when we studied the food pyramid. I'm going to be discussing basic food groups and what they are and how they play an important part in your overall health while supporting your fitness goals. You may have come across the term macros while browsing Instagram, or maybe you were at the gym and heard someone discussing that they needed to get their macros in. Your daily calorie intake is full of macro and micronutrients. Macronutrients, or macros, are what we refer to as protein, carbohydrates, aka carbs, and fats. Micronutrients are the vitamins and minerals that you consume within your food, aka you get those micros from eating your fruits and veggies. Let's break down examples of a protein, carb, and fat. Protein is what helps build and repair muscles. They help make hormones, and they are also used to make enzymes in your body. Protein can come from animal sources like meat and fish, eggs, dairy, as well as a variety of plant-based protein sources like nut butters, beans, chickpeas, and tofu. Carbs are used as the main energy source in your body that allows you to perform your daily activities. Your body needs carbs in order to work well. In fact, the dietary guidelines for Americans recommends that carbohydrates make up 45 to 65% of your total daily calories. That means close to or over half of what you're eating in a day. Carbs are your starches. Some examples are potatoes, peas, oats, and rice. Carbs are your sugars that are naturally occurring in foods like fruit, milk, maple sugar, sugar cane. Carbs are your fibers, things like beans, legumes, and whole grains. Fiber comes from plant foods only, and it is an important part of your digestive health, so don't sleep on your fiber. Now, carbs, they can get a bad rap, and that has to do with the distinction between complex carbs and simple carbs. Complex carbs like oats, the whole grains, vegetables, they supply your body with steady energy because they take longer to break down. They often keep you feeling satisfied and fuller for longer. These are the golden child of carbs. Simple carbs, which break down very quickly and they give you a hit of energy, they naturally occur in foods such as fruit and milk, but they can also be present in the form of added sugars. A well-balanced diet contains both complex and simple carbohydrates. Fats are essential for supporting cell function, they protect your organs, help you absorb nutrients, and produce important hormones too. Without fat, the body would not be able to absorb important micronutrients. Vitamins A, D, and E, those are fat soluble, which means that they can only be absorbed with the help of fats. Just think about how important it is for your body to get a micronutrient like vitamin D. Vitamin D is critical for bone building, and the National Institute of Health has done studies showing that vitamin D can reduce cancer cell growth, help control infections, and reduce inflammation. And especially where I live, where the sun ain't shining too much, I personally supplement vitamin D because I know I don't get enough. Not only does fat play an important role in absorbing nutrients, making food taste good, and cushioning your joints, but the human brain is nearly 60% fat. According to the National Institutes of Health, we've learned in recent years that fatty acids are among the most crucial molecules that determine your brain's integrity and ability to perform. Support your brain. Eat your fat macros. Every food has a combination of protein, carbs, and fats. The way we determine whether to list a food as a protein source or a fat source or a carb source is based on which macro it contains the most of. This information can be found on the nutrition facts. You will see the serving size, the amount of servings per container, and then the macros, your carbs, proteins, and fats. And typically those are listed in grams. Let's look at a good example. Peanut butter. What a great spread. I love her. 10 out of 10, recommend. On a generic peanut butter food label, it reads, serving size, 2 tablespoons. Per those 2 tablespoons, there will be 16 grams of fat, 7 grams of carbs, and 8 grams of protein. Since the grams of fat are the highest, we would classify this as a fat source with some protein and carbs in it as well. I am not a fan of diets that completely remove a macronutrient. Yes, there are very specific instances in which someone needs to have a different nutritional intake. However, unless you are working under the guidance of a trained professional that knows you and your health history, you do not need to cut out carbs or fats or anything like that. If you have a specific diagnosis, like diabetes in regards to the sugar intake, or celiacs in regards to the gluten intake, then obviously follow that recommendation. But if you heard Colleen from the office talk about how she isn't eating sugar and bread anymore because of how, quote, bad it is for you, and now you think that you should also stop eating sugar and bread, then listen to me closely. Food has no morality. I want to talk very broadly about structuring meals. For perspective, I am giving out this advice from a strength and hypertrophy focus, and that's all it is. This is advice. You don't have to do anything I say here. Again, I want to reiterate to the nth degree here, I'm not a nutritionist or a registered dietitian. I'm just a girl who's made a lot of mistakes. I've been not so kind to myself, and I've learned a lot along the way. When I structure my meals, my first priority is protein. I'm the one who plans the dinners for the week in our house, and I do the grocery shopping. Which, if you haven't gotten on board with the grocery pickup, like my dudes, get on it. It is such a lifesaver. Anywho, I will pick a protein source, a carb source, and a veggie for our dinners. Tonight, we're going to have chicken breast with some pasta and asparagus. The nutritionist that I work with has given me certain protein amounts to try and hit, as well as recommendations for the amount of carbs I eat. The amount I eat is going to be different from you because of how much muscle I have on my body versus how much muscle you have on yours versus my height and weight versus your height and weight. I consume a lot of protein in a day. So typically my snacks include protein bars or like those little kits with the cheese, nuts, and the dried fruit in them. In my opinion, it is always better to eat a meal, regardless of what it contains, than to get into a restrictive cycle with yourself. Your body is smart, and it will use everything you give it to the best of its ability. It doesn't look at a gram of sugar from a candy bar as different or less than a gram of sugar that is coming from an apple, for example. A carb is a carb is a carb. It just so happens that the ones from fruits and veggies will also give you some extra good stuff or those micronutrients alongside it. Bottom line, your body works best when it gets the nourishment it requires. This includes regularly feeding it and what it needs to keep your energy levels up and your brain clear and focused. Skipping meals has been linked with several negative health consequences, including certain diseases, poor health measurements, eating disorders, low energy, and anxiety. If you're in the habit of skipping meals, that's something that you can work on to get into a little bit of a healthier routine. Again, that's just my opinion. Listen to your body. If you feel hungry between meals, snack. If you are hungry, eat. Eating is especially important when starting a fitness routine. Make sure you have enough fuel in your body before a workout. I do know that some people work out super early in the morning, so that may be difficult to get a full meal, but overall, you want to fuel yourself for the work that you're about to do. I try to get a little bit of protein and some carbs prior to working out. The things I like to eat before a workout will depend on what time of day I'm working out, because if it's in the morning, I try and incorporate some simple carbs into my protein. For example, this past Saturday, I worked out in the morning and I had a protein shake that had 30 grams of protein in it with a thing of yogurt with 12 grams of protein in it. And I had some Pop-Tarts because quick carbs and they give me some good energy for my lifts. But if I have been working and I have a couple meals in me, I will do kind of my normal after work snack, which is a protein bar that typically has 12 to 13 grams of protein in it. And if it's a squat or a deadlift day, I will do an Uncrustable. I think the most important thing for me personally in regards to pre-workout eating is that if it's after a work day, I really make sure that I've gotten my meals in for the day, because I know I'm not going to perform as well if I don't have my meals in. I try and make sure I'm on point with my breakfast. I usually have a mid-morning snack, trying to have a good lunch, which is typically just my leftovers from dinner the night before. That's lazy girl meal prep for y'all. My after work snack with some extra, carb fat, like with the Uncrustable, like I was saying, especially for the days where I work out after work, I make sure that I'm eating dinner afterwards. So my post-workout meal is a good source of protein, carb, and veg. Then if I'm feeling fun and frisky, I will sometimes have some Ghirardelli chocolate at the end of the night as a little nightcap, or Oreos, which are delicious and good for the soul. And also vegan. Fun fact, if you did not know that. So as a fun aside, I did have one of you guys send me a message on Instagram, and they had a great question. So I wanted to bring that up and just remind everybody that if you do have questions, please email me at musclesandmalarkey@gmail.com. I am more than happy to try and help in any way I can in the capacity that I can. So they asked to not have their name, which is totally fine. See, I don't have to say your name. It can be totally anonymous. If you want me to shout you out, I totally will. But okay, so Sally, my go-to anonymous name, Sally wrote in and said, my brother is a weightlifter, and whenever he stays at my house, he always makes the weirdest smoothies. I saw him put raw egg in one of them. And he said it makes it nice and foamy. What is it with you gym people and drinking weird things? First off, Sally, I just want to tell you that I don't claim that. Your girl cannot eat eggs, number one. So I would never do that. And also I know that, like, technically, as my friend Sam Newton likes to point out, that the carton of egg whites is actually, you can drink that so straight. No. No. But the real reason, in all seriousness, the reason why your brother is doing this is, number one, adding in the egg to the smoothie is a very easy and efficient way to get some extra protein into that meal, especially, your brother's a weightlifter. That's pretty cool. I think that weightlifters, Olympic weightlifters and power lifters are both pretty, like, not rigid, but I think they both take, like, nutrition and protein intake very seriously. The other side of that too is, if people are in a time crunch, if they need, like, quick meal very fast, it's very easy to prepare that. And in a shake, you can very easily add in different micronutrients from, like, spinach. You can throw some chia seeds in there. You can put Greek yogurt in there, you can do fruit, and you can use those things to disguise really unpleasant flavors that you might not normally eat. The way I think about it when I get on my shake vibe is like, oh, I want this to taste pretty good, but also I'm still getting vegetables in. Pro tip, frozen kale, frozen spinach works pretty well. As I stated at the beginning of this episode, if you struggle with your relationship with food, please seek out a reputable nutritionist or a registered dietitian, because they can help give you tools to navigate that relationship. You need to enjoy your life, and deprivation is not the way to do that. If you go to Pinterest and type in healthy, budget-friendly meals, and you come to the conclusion that all you should eat is fish, chicken, rice, vegetables, that's it, you're not allowed anything else, you might start to panic. I would start to panic. If you're someone that doesn't like fish, it's only a matter of time before you feel FOMO when Applebee's Burger Monday rolls around and you think, oh my gosh, I'm not allowed. No, there are no forbidden foods forever. And there's no rule saying that you need to change everything about your life at once. I know it seems that way based on what you see on social media sometimes, but slow and consistent changes to your lifestyle, that's the key. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Muscles and Malarkey. I enjoyed hanging out with you. If you have any fitness-related questions that you want help with, send me a DM on Instagram at musclesandmalarkey or email at musclesandmalarkey@gmail.com. Please leave a review and subscribe. I'd love to hear your feedback. Yeehaw and yee claw, everybody.